Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
What day is it today? Trump Day. Every day is Trump Day because Trump is back in the news cycle. He's been in the news cycle for the past decade, every day. And he's back in the news cycle today talking about copper tariffs and what else? Oh yeah, Jerome Powell. He's weighing in on that. The Fed interest rate. We'll talk about that tonight. Just shocking the economy. Again, Canada going to recognize Palestine as a nation state. What else do we have? The tsunami story will bring you up to date on what's happening with that. We have, what else? More than I can remember, but we'll get into all of it tonight. Really, all you have to remember is, Tulsi Gabbard. She's making waves over in Russia because they really kind of like what she's doing. And we just have all the top news stories of the day, and we'll dig into it all on the other side of this.
Please stand by. We will be right back after these messages.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
And we're back and away to the races. Breaking news story tonight. This is all fresh. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says that he plans to recognize. Oh, hang on a second here. I've got some audio playing in my head. It's not me going insane. Well, that's debatable. It's just audio in my headphones. I got it. Okay, it's turned off. Now I can think again. Even that's debatable. Depends on the time of day. Anyway, I'm sorry. Mark Carney, Canada's Prime Minister, says that Canada does plan to recognize the state of Palestine as the next session of the United Nations General Assembly, at the next General Assembly of the United Nations in September. So he announced this today on Parliament Hill, and he was accompanied by Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, Anita Anand, all this following a meeting of his cabinet to discuss the state of trade negotiations with the United States and the situation in the Middle East. And we will dig into more of that, but let's pivot straight over to what is going on with Jerome Powell. The Federal Reserve Chair has announced that the Fed will maintain its benchmark interest rate at 4.25% to 4.5%, marking the fifth straight meeting without a change, despite pressure from President Trump for cuts. And there is no love lost between those two. It looks like Trump is gearing up to get rid of Powell. And we saw kind of a nasty exchange between them. Well, an uncomfortable exchange would be a better description. He was speaking at a news conference today. Powell emphasized that the economy is on a solid footing, setting 3% GDP growth in the second quarter of this year, though he noted a 1.2% average for the first half due to an earlier contraction. On inflation, Powell says it remains somewhat above the Fed's 2% target, with tariffs starting to push consumer prices higher, as seen in June's 2.7% consumer price index rise. Powell expects more tariff-driven price increases, but noted today that companies may struggle to pass costs to consumers. He's stressing a wait-and-see approach with no decision on September cuts. Two governors dissented, favoring a quarter-point cut. So I would say stay tuned for more friction between Jerome Powell and Donald Trump. We have a clip of Powell here. Let me share that with you. Trump wants the interest rates down because, of course, he wants to heat the economy up. Lower interest rates means money is cheaper, loans are cheaper, it means people get their hands on money easier and spend it.
Total PCE prices rose 2.5% over the 12 months ending in June, and that, excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.7%. These readings are little changed from the beginning of the year, although the underlying composition of price changes has shifted. Services inflation has continued to ease, while increased tariffs are pushing up prices in some categories of goods. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have moved up on balance over the course of this year on news about tariffs, as reflected in both market-based and survey-based measures. Total PCE prices rose.
Got it? I know for a lot of people that stuff is pretty dry, but it's really important because it really affects the whole world, not just the United States. What goes on in the U.S. with the economy, especially with interest rates affect consumer spending, whether people are able to get loans or afford them, mortgage rates, whether people can buy homes, super important stuff. Trump wants the interest rates lowered, but they're really at 2.5% in relative terms. You know, that's kind of in the sweet spot historically. So we'll see what happens between those two. They look for Jerome Powell to kind of exit stage rear at some point as Trump kicks him straight out. They don't like each other. This huge story about this tsunami. Let's dig into that before we move on too much further here. So what are we seeing here? So let me get you the latest information that I have. So we know that there was this massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake, and it struck off Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula early yesterday, triggering, well, not yet. Well, it was overnight, right? So depends on your time zone. But it triggered this tsunami or tsunami waves really across the Pacific. And it shook, global communities really. And so the quake is one of the strongest ever recorded. It hit 119 kilometers southeast of Petropavlovsk. I can't pronounce this name. I'm sorry, because I'm not Russian. Petropavlovsk, Kamchatsky. Okay, I apologize for butchering the name. Causing flooding in Russia's Kuril Islands, where 13-foot waves swamped Severo Kurisk's port, Japan, saw waves up to 2 feet. And I have all these names of these places. Hokkaido, in Hokkaido. Well, these are all places I'm having trouble pronouncing the names. I do apologize. In Hawaii, and they faced 5.7-foot surges in Kalui, prompting evacuations. California's Crescent City, I can pronounce that, recorded 3.6-foot waves, and smaller surges hit Ecuador's Galapagos Islands. I know that name. No deaths reported, miraculously, though Russia noted minor injuries and building damage. So there was a volcano in Russia that also erupted after the quake. And most tsunami warnings, including Japan, Hawaii, and British Columbia, have now been downgraded to advisories or lifted altogether. So I think we kind of got out of jail free in many places over the last 24 hours. Chile, Ecuador, Peru, however, and parts of Northern California remain on alert for strong currents, and residents are still being urged to avoid coastlines. Let's do a little Twitter scroll here and take a look at what is being posted tonight for video and stills. Where's my video? Where are my images? Ah, right there. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Oh, yes, whales are washing up, I guess, on the shore of Japan. As you can see, sort of, they've got a lot of graphics on the screen there, but you see the whales. And you can see the size of the waves there. Sort of. And people in Japan evacuating the areas. And I don't think these wide aerial shots really give you the full perspective, because those are really, really high waves, and you can see the pattern of them going out into the ocean. It's not just one or two waves. It's like a whole ripple effect behind it. What else do we have here? Other stories. People on Maui, it says Hawaii trying to escape the tsunami. This was 19 hours ago yesterday. And here's some video.
Elektrik direğine çıktı, direğe patlıyor.
Wow. Mother Nature is powerful.
Песочница уже не в бассейне. Все. Первый этаж. До свидания.
Еще больше было.
Жесть. Просто.
Ты видишь, что нет?
Again, this is in Japan.
Первый этаж. Пришли, что ты спрятал.
you have to keep in mind how far away the earthquake really was. Wow, that's powerful. And it's weird. Oprah coming under fire. Oprah bought up, it says here, on some site called social media account, The American. Oprah bought up half of Maui like a monopoly board, it says. Now she's blocking escape routes like it's part of the game. Humanitarian? Nah, just another greedy landlord with a TV smile. I don't know. That smacks of propaganda to me. I mean, I'm sure that she's wealthy. I'm sure that, there are issues maybe, but I don't think she's that evil. I'll tell you though, when these reports first started coming in overnight, they were pretty alarming. And they got hit pretty hard in Russia. So, and there's the tsunami warning. But overall, I think people were pretty lucky. All the people who lived in the most vulnerable areas. So count your lucky stars tonight. Okay, let me take a little break here. We're going to come back and continue with our coverage of today's top news stories.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so just back to the story about Canada recognizing Palestine. Israeli ambassador Ido Moed said in a statement today that his country rejected Canada's endorsement of Palestinian statehood, saying, quote, Israel will not bow to the distorted campaign of international pressure against it, Moed said. We will not sacrifice our very existence by permitting the imposition of a jihadist state on our ancestral homeland that seeks our annihilation. Moed called Israel, quote, an active partner in humanitarian aid delivery to Gaza, claiming in the last week they have provided 600 trucks and 70 airdropped pallets. Moed says there's communication between Israel and all levels of Canadian government, and he says that a solid relationship is there, but then went on to say in this statement, he says, but I can tell you that something in the trust is breaking right now. He says, Canada is taking a move knowing that Israel will not accept this and reject it, and knowing very well that this is actually contrary to Israel's interests. And the Conservative Party has come out today criticizing the Prime Minister's announcement. They say that it's sending the wrong message to the world, and continued with their statement saying that violence and terror are effective tools for achieving political objectives. They're saying that's what the message is ultimately that's coming from Mark Carney and the Liberals. Well, let's listen to Mark Carney. We've got his clip. Here we go. Big story. France, Macron earlier, just days ago, also announcing that France will recognize Palestine as an independent state.
Do two things. One, provide an update on the state of negotiations with the United States. And secondly, to discuss the situation in the Middle East. With respect to the first, the trade negotiations with the U.S., as you know, we're seeking the best deal for Canadians. We have not yet reached that deal. Negotiations will continue until we do. Minister Leblanc and senior officials will remain in Washington in pursuit of that goal. The focus of our meeting was really the Middle East. The level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable, and it's rapidly deteriorating. Des dizaines de milliers de Palestiniens ont été
Tens of
tués.
thousands of Palestinians have been killed. Thousands more are on the brink of famine. Canada condemns the fact that the Israeli government has let the situation deteriorate in Gaza to this extent. We are a founding member of both the United Nations and of NATO. As such, Canada is always among the first to stand to defend peace and security around the world. It is our duty to ensure that human rights are upheld abroad. We also have a duty to promote peace and safety in Canada and around the world.
Earlier this week, the Minister of Foreign Affairs represented Canada at the UN high-level conference on a two-state solution in New York. In recent days, I've spoken with our allies, including President Macron, Prime Minister Starmer, President von der Leyen. Also had a number of discussions with our ambassador to the United Nations, Bob Ray. International cooperation is essential to securing lasting peace and stability in the Middle East, and Canada will do its best to help lead that effort. Canada has long been committed to a two-state solution, an independent, viable, and sovereign Palestinian state living side by side with the state of Israel in peace and security. For decades, it was hoped that this outcome would be achieved as part of a peace process built around a negotiated settlement between the Israeli government and the Palestinian Authority. Regrettably, this approach is no longer tenable. Prospects for a two-state solution have been steadily and gravely eroded, including by the pervasive threat of Hamas terrorism to Israel and its people, culminating in the heinous attack of October 7th, 2023. The terrorist organization Hamas's long-standing violent rejection of Israel's right to exist and its rejection of a two-state solution. The accelerated settlement building across the West Bank and East Jerusalem, all the while settler violence against Palestinians has soared, has also undermined the process, as have actions such as the E1 settlement plan and this month's vote by the Knesset calling for the annexation of the West Bank, and the ongoing failure of the Israeli government to prevent the rapidly deteriorating humanitarian disaster in Gaza, with impeded access to food and other essential humanitarian supplies. The deepening suffering of civilians leaves no room for delay in coordinated international action to support peace, security, and the dignity of human life. Preserving a two-state solution means standing with all people who choose peace over violence or terrorism. And it means honoring their innate desire for peaceful coexistence of Israeli and Palestinian states as the only roadmap for a secure and prosperous long-term future. Pour ces raisons,
This is why Canada intends to recognize the State of Palestine at the 80th General Assembly of the United Nations, which will take place in September 2025. We intend to do so because the Palestinian Authority has committed to lead much-needed reform. The Palestinian Authority's president, Mahmoud Abbas, has committed to holding general elections in 2026. He has also committed to not militarizing the state of Palestine. Canada will continue to work hard to support strong governance in Palestine. Canada will contribute to a peaceful and promising future for the people of Palestine. I met with President Abbas to restate these commitments.
For the reasons I cited earlier, Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025. This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms, including commitments by the Palestinian Authority's President Abbas to fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part, and to demilitarize the Palestinian state. Canada will increase its efforts in supporting strong democratic governance in Palestine and the contributions of its people to a more peaceful and hopeful future. I spoke today with President Abbas at length to reaffirm his commitments. Canada reiterates that Hamas must immediately release all hostages taken in the horrific terrorist attack of October 7th, that Hamas must disarm, and that Hamas must play no role in the future governance of Palestine. Canada will always steadfastly support Israel's existence as an independent state in the Middle East, living in peace and security. Any path to lasting peace for Israel also requires a viable and stable Palestinian state, and one that recognizes Israel's inalienable right to security and peace. Canada
has already committed over $340 million in order to address the disastrous humanitarian situation in Gaza. Moreover, we have also pledged to offer an additional $30 million in order to meet the needs of Palestinians. We are also pledging an additional $10 million to support the Palestinian Authority, to support them in stabilizing the West Bank and in governance of the West Bank. We are working with our allies to deliver immediate aid to those who so desperately need it. We are working directly with partners such as Jordan in order to deliver assistance to those who need it in the upcoming days. We will intensify our efforts alongside our international partners in order to develop a credible peace plan. This plan will establish governance and security mechanisms for Palestine. The plan will ensure that humanitarian aid is delivered to Gaza as needed.
Be a constructive partner in building a just, meaningful, and lasting peace in the region, and a future that respects the dignity, security, and the aspirations of all Palestinians and Israelis. We say the devastation in the Middle East is deeply personal to many Canadians. Palestinian Canadians are watching as communities across Gaza face destruction and deprivation, and as communities in the West Bank are annexed. The heinous attacks of October 7th traumatized the Jewish people in Israel and here in Canada and around the world. With each day that the remaining hostages, the remains are not returned, families live in fear and grief. The rising anti-Semitism and words, actions, and violence, including against Jewish communities right here in Canada, is abhorrent. And it's why we're introducing legislation this fall that will make it a criminal offense to intentionally and willfully obstruct access to any place of worship, to schools and community centers. We will also invest in the physical protection of vulnerable communities and places of worship. Basic security is an inalienable right of every human being. We'll defend that right for every Canadian. The two-state solution Canada supports is built on the promise of Israelis and Palestinians living side by side in peace and security.
Okay. We will leave it there. So that is significant because you're seeing a shift, not just from Canada, but other countries, France first, Canada now, and I am certain there will be others who will follow suit. So look for that in the weeks and months ahead. So also tonight, interesting comments coming from Sergei Lavrov. Alarming, really. This is a developing story out of Russia. It's really sending ripples of concern across the global stage because Russia's foreign minister delivered this provocative speech at the All Russian Youth Educational Forum, the territory of meanings in this town in Russia. And this is actually yesterday, but the remarks are resonating on social media because the video is playing. It's even on a loop, I think, on one YouTube channel. And Lavrov claimed that a third world war is already underway. He is accusing Western nations of destabilizing global security. So this was a speech that sparked intense debate. Lavrov asserting that Russia is fighting alone against the collective West, a situation he describes as unprecedented in the nation's history. According to posts circulating on X and reports from sources like the Times of India, Lavrov blamed the United States and its allies for escalating tensions, particularly through their support for Ukraine and the ongoing conflict that began on a full-scale basis in February of 2022. But of course, it really started over 11 years ago with the annexation of Crimea and troops moving into those other areas of Ukraine. Lavrov suggesting that these actions from the West and the United States, supporting Ukraine, have pushed the world into what he calls a global conflict. So it is, as I say, making the rounds on YouTube, on Twitter, these comments. And he goes on to say here, for the first time in its history, Russia is fighting against the entire West alone. He says, we had allies during both World War I and World War II. Now we have no allies on the battlefield. I don't know about that. North Korea sent some troops, and you're getting support from Iran. But anyway, those remarks from him have raised fears about the potential for further escalation, especially as Russia continues its military operations in Ukraine and tensions simmer in other regions, such as the Middle East, as we just heard. So his comments come amid heightened global tensions, with Russia accusing the West really of bypassing the UN Charter and engaging in what he called neo-colonial practices. He specifically referenced U.S. military actions against Iranian nuclear sites as a contributing factor to global instability. While Lavrov praised efforts by some nations to de-escalate, he warned that, he's warning against making diplomatic gestures for weakness, reiterating Russia's stance on protecting its national interests. So, yeah, pretty strong stuff. I mean, this is the foreign minister of Russia saying that we are already in, effectively, World War III, and yet here in the West, Let me see if I can get you the. I'll show you the feed. I should have queued this up earlier, but anyway, we've got it here. Yeah. Okay. And yet he's saying this, and yet it's not even really making headlines here in Canada or the US. I don't know about Europe. So this is where he was speaking. Here we go.
It's a full room. Next year, we should be asking for maybe the Aspendos Ancient Theater, just about 14 kilometers from here. It can fit 14,000 people, I think. Anyway, last year I had the privilege and honor to share the same stage with you. And one of the things that you tried to emphasize was the rise of the multipolar world.
No, this is not the speech. Sorry. This isn't it. I do apologize. Because that was from April. Anyway, this is what's resonating tonight. So we will, or at least that's what's making its rounds on social media. Let me just check some information. I'm going to be right back, okay? Getting this stuff on the floor.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, so yeah, it's a Dragon sent me the information on Lavrov, and yes, I did see the clips earlier in the day. I don't have it queued, and that just shows really how little attention this is receiving. It's really kind of weird. Trump also, was it yesterday or the day before? Because I can't keep the time zones straight, because he was over in Scotland talking about tariffs and moving the deadline up like reducing that time period of 50 days for Russia to take peaceful action in Ukraine, threatening now to implement severe tariffs against Russia in about probably now about 7 days left, moving the deadline up. A lot of people skeptical, even that not really making much in the way of headlines over here in North America, getting more attention, more play over in Scotland and in Britain. Now, this with Lavrov, I mean, the guy is sitting there saying that we are in World War III, and it's not even a story on any of the major media outlets, any of the MSM outlets here. And even as I do my Twitter scroll, you have to really go searching for it. This is kind of mind-blowing. Russia is saying we're in World War III and nobody's paying attention. Hey, maybe that's the right approach, right? What if they had a war and nobody showed up? That would be different and maybe refreshing. Seems like that's what's happening today. Trump threatening tariffs, nobody paying attention. Lavrov saying we're World War III, nobody paying attention. Or maybe it's just that people are becoming conditioned in not good ways. Have you seen this stuff with Sydney Sweeney? It just seems to me that it's much ado about nothing. I mean, when is it really a new thing to have sex sell? And they're saying, Sydney Sweeney has good genes. Oh, and it's literally to like sell jeans and clothing. This is a new ad here. The Hey Dude ad, wearing a tight one-piece swimsuit and a cowboy hat. Here, I'll show you. I don't see what the big deal is about.
You can take the dude out of the country. You can't take the country out of the dude. Wish you were here.
Whatever. Is she like, to me, like, is that even supermodel material? I mean, she's a woman. It just doesn't resonate with me as like she's like that crazy beautiful, but okay. Don't know. And then there's the ones with the jeans too. Do I have another one here of Sydney Sweeney? She's the new flavor of the month, I guess. Or maybe of 6 months or a year or whatever. I think back to all the supermodels that have really made an impact. Cindy Crawford. I'm showing my age, right? Kathy Ireland, Marilyn Monroe, Sydney Sweeney. Okay. She's got a certain look to her, I guess. Clown World. Be honest, what exactly in this photo is supposed to be offensive? I don't know. Cleavage. It's the big thing right now. Everybody's talking about it. So there you go. That's one of the top news stories of the day. Bringing it to you here. I think it's a non-story. I think what is it? American Eagle brand? Is that the company with the jean company? I think so. They're getting a lot of free publicity because of all this. Well, good for them. Even we're talking about it. What else do we have for you tonight? All kinds of stuff. Yeah, NATO's saying that this rhetoric coming from Lavrov is inflammatory. The U.S. has not really responded to Lavrov as of yet. There will be more. And there's more from Trump tonight on the tariff front, proclaiming that he is imposing a 50% tariff on copper imports, all of it effective August 1st. It's a move that could hit Canada's economy pretty hard. And some other countries too, Canada in particular, because we do export some copper to the US, although the United States has its own copper industry, its own copper mines, and they produce a lot of copper as well. So this was confirmed. This was an announcement really made back in earlier in the month, July 8th, I believe, and it was confirmed today. The tariff targets semi-finished copper products, citing national security concerns after a Section 232 investigation. And Canada, the second largest supplier of refined copper to the United States, exported about $4.8 billion worth of copper last year. And over half of its total copper exports of Canada's copper exports go to the U.S. So this is significant for us here in Kazakhstan. Industry experts are warning that this could raise costs for U.S. manufacturers and consumers, though potentially benefiting Chinese refiners. British Columbia, Ontario, we produce between these two provinces about 90% of Canada's copper. And this could be very disruptive for us here in Canada. 50% tariffs. So anything going to the U.S., the purchaser on the U.S. side, whoever buys it, has to pay this 50% tariff, which makes our copper more expensive. So what do we have to do? Well, we may have to drop our prices in order to sell into the U.S. market. But copper is a commodity. It's priced globally on international markets. It will all equalize out over time. And this is also what is fueling inflation, as we have seen in the statements from Jerome Powell today. It's pretty darn disruptive, but we'll see what happens. August 1st, it's upon us. That's the deadline also for this trade deal that we're supposed to have between Canada and the U.S., maybe, although it doesn't look like things are going that well. No comments today from Mark Carney, as far as I know, really indicating that we've got a deal yet, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how tough Trump is in the end. I think he's going to be, when it comes to Canada, we're going to get hit the hardest, I think, of all of the countries. And that's because I think he really does have his sights set on us. And I don't think he likes the kind of government we have up here. So we'll see. Carney said today that he's calling the talks today intense and complex. He's emphasizing that Canada will only accept a deal that is in Canada's best interests. And Trump, frustrated by what he sees as Canada's closed markets, not true, suggested last week that Canada might simply face higher tariffs without a deal. Key issues include U.S. demands to open Canada's dairy market and concerns over Quebec's language laws. See, it's not just about the money. It's about culture. It's about food sovereignty. It's about Canada's desire and even right to adopt policies that are designed to make sure that we've got good food security up here. And that's our agriculture industry. And this also extends into the poultry industry, which ties into those crazy ostriches out in Edgewood, BC. So despite these tensions, 79% of Canadian exports enter the U.S. tariff-free right now under the U.S. Mexico-Canada trade agreement. However, existing 50% tariffs on Canadian copper and steel, plus a potential 35% levy, threaten economic disruption. Yeah, everything's getting shaken up. But I say sit back, fasten your seatbelts. Let's go for a ride. August 1st is here, and we will see what's going to happen next. So, also tonight, this is interesting. Tulsi Gabbard making headlines over in Russia. RT. It's just an editorial, but given prominent placement on the RT website tonight, I just take note of it. Because I think Tulsi Gabbard was looking to curry a little bit of favor from Trump. And I think she kind of came a little bit kind of to his rescue with these attacks on Obama. To try and take the heat off him over these Epstein file issues. So here's this editorial in RT. Tulsi Gabbard has cemented herself a place in history. Indeed. The U.S. National Security Advisor finally finds herself in a position where the truths she speaks cannot be ignored. Accused by some on the U.S. side of maybe even being a Russian asset, or at least being sympathetic to Russian interests. But her comments, her public statements in the last week or so, really suggesting that the Russia hoax is something that needs to be investigated further, and maybe Barack Obama held accountable and maybe even go to jail. It says here, in light of accusations, the former U.S. President Barack Obama had committed, this is I'm reading from the editorial, had committed treason by attempting to rig the 2016 election and stage Russiagate. Newly surfaced evidence shows Russia did not interfere in the 2016 election. She is the National Intelligence Director. And it says here that Gabbard, armed with a freshly declassified 2020 report by the House Intelligence Committee, went on the offensive against Obama last week during a wild White House press briefing. Yeah, we brought you some of that. Her follow-up message on X cuts to the chase and shows an administration that is no longer taking Democratic trash talk of Russian collusion sitting down. She wrote that the Obama administration manufactured the January 2017 intelligence community assessment that they knew was false, promoting the lie, all in caps, that Vladimir Putin and the Russian government helped President Trump win the 2016 election. Well, I think maybe Russia does meddle in elections. I'm pretty sure they do in many elections around the world, just as the United States does, just as the United States is right now, and so is Russia in Canada. Says here, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gave the presidential stamp of approval to Gabbard's statement when she exclaimed, quote, "There was no collusion, no corruption, except on the part of Barack Obama and the weaponized intelligence agencies at the time." And there it is, on the RT website, which will only fuel more speculation that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset because she's getting this support from RT in an editorial written by another American who will probably be accused of being another Russian asset and must be getting paid to write that editorial for RT. So is that compromising? You can decide for yourself. It's a job. It's not wrong to work for RT. It's not illegal. Is there bias injected into that, though, because you're working for RT? I don't know. You can decide for yourself. What else do we have on tap for you tonight? Well, there's this whole separatism thing in Canada coming back to the surface, but this time in just a little bit different way. Because what we have is breaking news from Alberta land. The Alberta Forever Canada Citizen Initiative is underway. It's led by former Deputy Premier Thomas Lukaszuk, who has been greenlit by Elections Alberta to begin collecting signatures to reaffirm Alberta's place in Canada. So the chief electoral officer out there has announced that the petition asking, quote, well, this is what it says on the petition. Do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? Can now gather signatures. Canvassers have until October 28th to collect 293,376 signatures, 10% of eligible voters from the 2023 election. So they're aiming to counter separatist efforts out there, saying the campaign, backed by the Forever Canadian Coalition, is seeing overwhelming support, with volunteers joining from across Alberta. A competing pro-separation petition, of course, from the Alberta Prosperity Project, is also under judicial review. And the initiative's website, forevercanadian.ca, is rallying supporters. If successful, the petition could shape Alberta's future in Confederation. Let's see if we can find that website, forevercanadian.ca. Here we go. Forevercanadian.ca. There it is. Let's go to the website and we'll show you what it looks like. And I can't participate, I don't think, because I am an Ontarian. Oops. Too many things to click. Here we go, and there's the site. And let's take a look. Forever Canadian. The other side of the coin. Do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? Volunteer, donate, or help us collect signatures to ensure that Alberta remains in Canada. What's that website address? Forever-canadian.ca. Very simple. If you fill that out, give them your name. You can subscribe to a newsletter, I guess. They have a newsletter. Donate, volunteer, collect signatures. As a canvasser, pledge to sign the petition. You click that little box there, and pretty straightforward. So competing political campaigns out there that could determine the destiny of our nation. Well, if you're Canadian and watching our nation. Well, it could determine the fate of your nation down there in the USA as well, because Alberta could become the 51st state. Maybe all of Canada could become the 51st state. It's all very volatile and emotional. People fighting. And that's kind of where we're sitting tonight. Tonight's top news stories. Does anybody want to take phone calls tonight? Yeah, yes, no. I'm going to go. I'll tell you what. You tell me. Phone in or no phone in. I'm going to go to the chat and see what you guys are saying in there about that. And then I've got another option here as well. I can't stay on too long tonight because I have a whole bunch of other work that needs to be done to pay the bills around here. So I'm grateful for that, because it's better to have too much work than no work at all. I shall return on the other side of this. Tell me what you want to do.
Please stand by. We will be right back after these messages.
All right, I see a few people are saying phone, so I'll open up the phone lines. Let's get the promo up there so you know what number to call. Let me get the number on the screen. Where'd you go, phone promo? Everything got messed around because I put that new little promo thingy that I just ran there into the mix. So everything got shuffled. But here it is. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. All right, let's get that phone number up on the screen there. It is 1-647-734-4220. Hit the PIN number 860-075-764 to let you in. All right, let's see who's first up tonight. Who's on the line? Hello? Are you there? I can see the screen over here, but who's on the line? I guess maybe we lost the call. I don't know. Oh, maybe they can't hear me. I got to make an adjustment to the system here. Hang on. Okay, I got that. And now maybe they'll be able to hear me. Can you hear me now? There you go. Okay, so my microphone over on the phone system was muted. But there's Dragon out of Montreal. Hello, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight?
Well, I am okay. So what is on your mind?
Well, I was analyzing what Lavrov said earlier, and I think it proves the point where I'm making from, well, a few weeks ago or a few months ago, that we're into a turning point in our lifetime and in our history, I think.
It's a very strange thing to have the foreign minister of a superpower say at a conference that we are in World War III and that they are fighting against us. In fact, Putin has made the same statement months ago, and yet there's like hardly an acknowledgement of that level of statement. It's a little bit perplexing, and yet I think by ignoring it, we've been able to avoid a larger escalation of the war. Although, if you look at what some of these other European countries have been doing, you have seen sort of tit for tat exchanges of soft warfare taking place with sort of terrorist style attacks at airports and shipping terminals and things of this nature, and attacks on infrastructure and things that you can't really tell if it was an attack or whether it was just a fire. But it's been, and there's been shipping issues with ships being targeted for boarding and things like that, and oil tankers being targeted as part of the sanctions against Russia. So there's definitely a third world war going on. It's just that it hasn't reached the full scale kinetic level outside of Ukraine. You're just getting little skirmishes, I guess is the right phrase. Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I would say that it's probably part of the infocracy and the info warfare that we're living in, which is the, say, transition of a new system in a new era and culture, in a science politic way to speak. So,
yeah. So, are you ready to participate in the War of the Worlds production that we are going to produce?
More than ever, because, well, did you know that we have been warned by some media that in November we might be probably, maybe just attacked by some alien.
Well, keep your head low. I'll say that. It's going to be fun. I've already started putting some stuff together for it. So it'll be a good production. I have some unique ideas. So our production of War of the Worlds will be a little bit different than anything that has been done before. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad you're going to be part of it. You can, well, I'm not even going to let the cat out of the bag because we've got some special things as part of your role in this lined up. And if anybody else would like to participate, you can by emailing me at maverickmultimedia@mail.com. Just drop me a line there or a note and I will respond. And then I can send you your instructions, your scripting for this. It's a dramatic production. It's not news. Although it's news in a sense, or journalism in a sense, because it's a reflection of our times, and the production will also be a reflection of the times. It'll be an updated version of War of the Worlds to make it current, reflecting what is going on in our world today. So that's why it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be fun.
We are so timely.
Right. So, yeah, and I'll just, so Maverick Multimedia at mail, not Gmail, just mail.com. And if you want to call in tonight, the number is 1-647-734-4220. And then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Stay with me there, Dragon. I'm just going to take a short break. We'll come back on the other side, and our conversation and analysis of today's top news stories will continue.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, we're back, and let's bring Dragon back up on the screen. All right. So, yeah, still waiting for word on the ostriches there, Dragon. At Edgewood, I think that we'll get some sort of an announcement or a verdict within days. I'm surprised, actually, that we haven't had the court come out and give us some sort of decision on that crazy issue out there already. But it is complex and even more complicated because of the intervention of this billionaire out of New York, John Catsimatidis, who owns WABC Radio, a grocery store chain, and is also the largest purchaser of Alberta oil, which also throws a new wrinkle into the whole thing. This U.S. involvement in Canadian politics, Canadian food sovereignty, agricultural policies, Canadian law, RFK Jr., Dr. Oz, all becoming sort of involved in that. And then we saw this this statement from Catsimatidis saying that he's going to bankroll a Supreme Court challenge if the farm's challenge of this CFIA, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, call is, if their challenge is not successful and the order is not overturned, says he'll bankroll a Supreme Court of challenge here in Canada. And I sit here and I wonder why. Why is this guy so fixated on Canada? And the other interesting thing that came to light just within the last, 2 days now is that we're now learning that the farm, not only were they injecting those ostriches with COVID antigens as part of a research project that they were involved with as part of running their open air biolab, it's now been reported by CTV that the farm has purchased over $600,000 worth of the COVID antigens from the university that they were apparently partnering with in Japan. That it's kind of a small private university or educational facility or institution over there. So that was a revelation that I think really put things into a whole new perspective, because it shows that they're really on the hook for a whole lot of money. And they need to find some way to save those ostriches, because even though they were being offered over about $3,000 per bird in compensation from the Canadian government through the CFIA, now we're learning that that wouldn't even come close to really covering their overall costs with regard to the ostriches, because they've got the cost of the antigens, the cost of maintaining the farm, the costs of just taking care of those ostriches every year, which I was doing some research into that. And that alone is somewhere in the vicinity of about $500,000 a year just to keep those ostriches alive. So at about a little over $1,000 per bird is what it costs just to feed and sort of house them in their open air facility out there. So you're looking at well over 400,000, and that's in US dollars. So that's closer to about probably in real terms, probably 500,000 plus 600,000, 647,000 in COVID antigen investment. You're up over $1 million just for a single year. And they've been, delaying the cull, no compensation for the birds coming in, no revenue. They're doing this fundraiser. This is big money. And these assertions as well, I'm just kind of rambling on here a little bit about it, but it's a bizarre story. But these assertions that this is a small family farm operation, it is not. This is the largest ostrich farm in Canada. And they have actually supplied the majority of ostriches to other farms across Canada through their breeding program. So this is not a small operation at all. This is a big ostrich operation. Relatively speaking, it's the biggest in Canada. So it's a lot of these conceptualizations or cliches that people have in their heads about what this place is about. They're really false. This is big agribusiness, big money, foreign intervention, huge money, really huge money.
Well, it's because where I see they're probably making more money with the advertisers and the funding that they're receiving from actually what the CFIA would have gave them from calling the birds. And I'm asking myself, were they not into a sort of a breaking a contract with another lab somewhere if they're not conducting those
that's right,
those biolabs research?
That's exactly right. So yes, they do have deals, and then they would be breaking deals, and they have multiple companies and layers of companies and vertically integrated business model set up. They have it's an interesting situation. I'm not sure that they're in the best of financial shape, and then they have these other interests coming in, sort of riding in to sort of rescue them. But these are U.S. influences. And I smell something, and it doesn't smell good, because this is Canada. And what are we seeing? We're seeing the U.S. government coming in here and a U.S. government activist. Castamatidis is heavily involved in politics. Ran for mayor at one point in New York. He's still heavily involved in municipal politics there, being targeted really by this Democrat that is running for the mayor's position, saying that he's going to set up a government-run grocery stores, which would be in direct competition to Castamatidis's grocery stores. And of course, grocery stores are directly connected to the agricultural industry, various agricultural industries, including poultry. And this would trigger a realignment of Canada's policies when it comes to the way that we deal with the bird flu, and not so much ostriches, but more so chickens. Huge, huge industry for Canada. And it's international trade that is on the line. And I don't think it's about the ostriches really at all. It's all about politics, man. All about politics. Anyway, if anybody wants to call in, it's 1-647-734-4220, PIN number 860-075-764. So what else is happening up there in Montreal? Any other comments here tonight as we kind of enter the final leg of our broadcast tonight, Dragon?
Well, my thought was to the mostly about the Lavrov thing, and yeah, this is one crazy little thing going on. I think that we're pretty much into that turning point. And to me, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but it was also a warning from Lavrov towards the West, basically, that we're really at the threshold of, their patience into maybe not getting into a kinetic war, but that's maybe just me.
Yes, yeah. I appreciate you sending that to me today. I'd taken note of it, but because you sent that note to me, alerting me to it, it really made me kind of go back and focus on it more, because I was like everybody else, kind of just pushing it to the side, not paying much mind. But really, if you look at it, it's pretty alarming. This is sort of the number 2 guy out of Russia after Putin on the international stage, foreign minister, saying we're already in World War III. He's telling us they are at war with us. Russia is telling us they are at war with us. Canada, the United States, Great Britain, France, all the Western countries. So it's already underway as far as they are concerned. We're just not quite woken up to it yet. And I think part of it is because Western countries, aside from the United States, are really not prepared. We're not armed up for a conflict like this on this side. Now, collectively, we've got a lot of firepower, obviously. And I don't mean to use those phrases in a flippant way at all, because this is very serious, and I don't want World War III. But apparently, at least as far as the Russians are concerned, it's underway, whether we care to participate or not.
Yeah, well, the first word that when I tuned in, because I've seen, it's like when I go on my phone and look at YouTube, I just see the thumbnails, right? So I click on it, it's already live and already going. And the first word that I hear from Lavrov is Eurasia. So right away, the first thing that comes into mind when I hear this word is Duginism, Alexander Dugin, and basically all the idea of the Eurasian, the Duginism philosophy and all that. So I'm like, okay, there's something into it that I got to listen to, and this is where I did listen twice just to make sure that I can decipher everything that he's saying. And I'm like, ooh, I think I got to send that to Rick, because this is in your ball games, basically. So yeah, this is how I came to that conclusion. So yeah.
See, and I'm glad you picked up on that, because why? It's that phrase, right? Eurasianism. And I've been telling people that this is really where it's going. Okay. Who just joined us on the line?
It's Sharon Rick.
Hello, how are you tonight?
I'm well, and hi, Dragon.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to hear from you. And just to, I just don't understand, like, why is Russia being so aggressive in a sense in stating, this is it, time to ready ourselves for war. Like, what is it that we in the West have done? I don't know what we've done to Russia. I know, I'm sure, many things have been done by both sides, but this most recent statement by Lavrov, can you kind of summarize that for me? Like, I'm scratching my head here. I thought we were.
Yeah, I mean, their view has been that NATO has been expanding, but I think my personal opinion is I was buying into that for a while, right? That Russia's threatened because NATO's expanding. But as I have as I've been watching this and immersed in it in a more serious way, and having contact with people on both sides, as you know, I'm just not buying it. I think that it really is
strategic.
It's strategic. It's a desire to reestablish a greater Russia, similar to what we had, like take back those countries that were part of the former Soviet Union, expand out. It's part of a global vision that we are seeing for a world that's kind of carved up into three spheres. And that's this Alexander Dugin, this philosopher who does influence greatly Putin, and his work is now required reading at Russian military academies. And so he has this political philosophy or ideology called Eurasianism. And it's got a couple of names, but that's one of them. And it's really about Russia basically taking over all of Europe and Asia and becoming the dominant force there, dominating that area. The United States takes over all of Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Central America. You have China, which originally, as part of Dugin's vision for the future, wasn't really a factor, but because China has emerged as such a powerful economic force, they get their area over in their part of Asia. So it's three areas of influence. It's my personal view that is the new world order that we're supposed to be working toward, that people talk about, but because everything is flipped upside down so that the people, Trump, Putin, Xi Jinping, so that these guys can work toward that goal, they have everybody believing that the New World Order is NATO, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, all the already established, the already established international organizations that have given us the rules-based international order since World War II. That's the current world order. They don't need a new world order because they've already got it. The new world order is BRICS. It's Russia asserting its sphere of dominance. It's China in theirs, and Trump, as you're seeing, going to take over Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Central America. That's all this area, and reestablish the Monroe Doctrine. That's the new world order. Whether it comes to pass is something we'll have to see. But if you read Dugin, it is pretty clear. And then when you go to those and look at the BRICS economics conferences, which is the same basically on that side of the equation as the World Economic Forum, it's just that it's their version. And they literally are using the phrase New World Order. So it's pretty blatantly obvious to me, but the people working toward it don't want you to look over there. They want you to look over here, and it's just, in my view, not true. It's the other way around. But that's where we're heading.
I want to throw this out at you, and you can say, oh, that's rubbish, or that's, I don't care, because I just don't know what flipped. What was the switch from Trump first term to now Trump second term? And based on just what I've heard or read or seen over the years, where Trump worked before becoming president, he worked with Democrats and Republicans before he became president. And so I guess he can play both sides really well, but yet fool many. So because, it's just, I don't know what happened, or maybe I'm reading it wrong, where he went along as he was supposed to do. I guess he was limited, I guess, in his, for the first term for President Trump, but it seemed like the economy went very well. And then COVID came in and threw a wrench into everything worldwide. And then he had to wait 4 years. And I don't know what he was doing in those 4 years, but when he became president again, he has some vendettas to meet or to fulfill, or to try to, in his mind, fulfill some form of justice. Now, in his thinking, and I don't see him as, you see, that's the thing. I'm thinking this, Rick, you can tell me I'm nuts and crazy, but could he just be making the world think one way, but he's really doing something behind the scenes that I'm not privy to, you're not privy to, only a few are privy to? I mean, is this too conspiratorial? Is this something that maybe, because I don't see him as a warmonger. I see him as a person who definitely knows how to get deals made, no question. And he has, he knows how to run a business. He seems to be helping America get back on track. So do you think he's portraying one way to people worldwide, and really he's working towards undermining or getting rid of the bad actors in the world, where we're getting along economically and it's fair, and as opposed to keep enriching those who like war, like to make war, and to profit from everyone else's death, or from death and dying and destruction is where the profit seems to be. And I don't see him wanting to do that. Or am I just blowing smoke?
No, people are having trouble figuring it out because we've never seen anything quite like this.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because we're trying to analyze it from only a perspective of history, communism versus fascism, the left versus the right, liberals versus conservatives. No, that's not what's going on. It's new.
Yeah.
It's a new philosophy. It's a new political ideology that is shared to some degree between Russia, what's going on in Russia, because Russia is not the old Soviet Union.
Right.
They're embracing traditional values, the Russian Orthodox Church and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, not a good place to be a gay person in Russia these days. And MAGA is very much in alignment with that as well. And what you're getting, and Steve Bannon alluded to this, in order to take power, what Dugin has done with his philosophy is he's encouraged, and government in Russia and in the States too, with MAGA, as they facilitated the convergence of far left socialists and communists and fascists and far right conservatives, blending it together and then consuming much of the conservative center. That's why you saw during the election RFK Jr., who's kind of on the socialist left, and Trump even called him a communist, and then the MAGA right converging. I've been calling it convergence. I've been calling it for a long time communofascism. You can call it different things, but it is communism and fascism coming together, because Dugin and his work says that, the goal is to destroy liberalism. That's the goal. That's what MAGA is doing. That's what Doge is about.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yes, it's not just liberalism in the sense of like Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney's Liberal Party. It's destroying liberalism as a ideology. It's destroying everything that the free Western societies and democracies have been based on, certainly since World War II.
It's not a bad word at all.
International order.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like not big L liberal brand liberalism. It's like liberalism, like freedom. It's about rule of law. It's rights. So it's not just about socialism. It's about these ideas that really all of Western society is based on. And this is what facilitates, well, just all the freedoms that we have. No, they want to do away with that, because Dugin and the people on that side, they see it as a self-destructive ideology here in the West, because it leads to what they would say is decadence, because it separates the church and state. It becomes immoral over time in their view. So you get the proliferation or the expansion of things like LGBTQ plus whatever rights. You get and lifestyles. You get immoral behavior in their view. And so it just progresses to the point where society begins to fall apart, and it's a terrible thing, and it has to be defeated. There's many aspects to this, but that's really where they're going. So this is why just about 6 weeks ago, I took note of Dugin in an interview saying that within 6 months, you will see that Trump's MAGA political base, and here in America, he's predicting that America will become aligned with Russia. And you're kind of seeing that, right? Even tonight, I just showed you that article in RT where they're talking about Tulsi Gabbard and how she's got a place in history. It's because of that. And so, and then Bannon just a week ago talked about how the way they won the election was by bringing the RFK Jr. Political camp in with MAGA, so that they had the numbers and the political force to defeat the Democrats. This is what's going on. This is why it's different than Trump 1.0. It's because the first Trump administration, they weren't really prepared. You had people around Trump, people like Pence, people like Mike Pompeo, who were more like regular Republicans. But not this time. Those guys are all out. Now you've got this other crop in there that are
the shake them up crowd. The shake them up crowd.
Oh yeah. And they had 4 years to lay out their whole plan, their whole agenda, which we've seen. Right. And it's very, very refined, and they're implementing it at a breakneck speed. They're, not wasting any time. That's what Doge is really about. It's not about cutting costs. It's about purging the government and government agencies and the bureaucracy of any kind of opposition to the Trump MAGA movement. It's not really.
Now, Rick, I'm just gonna. Yeah. Now, Rick, you just made me think of something, because you've been more political in the sense than I have, where you've been more engaged, whether it's in council or just being approached for your opinion, and you in your own way, have reminded me more than ever, it's important to be not forget your roots and to claim, your sovereignty here. And I appreciate your view on Canada to remain, Canadian. And my thinking is this: okay, if this is meant to shake up the system with Trump now and the people who surround him now and the people who support him, and do you think this new appeal for shaking up the system globally, you don't think it's going to turn out well?
No. because
So
when you,
it's a gamble, isn't it? It's a gamble. It could go either way. Is that possible?
no, it will go south. It will become very bad because the whole thing is about expansionism. It if we go down this path, it guarantees a global war. That's where we're heading right now. That's why tonight Lavrov is sitting there saying we're already engaged in World War III, because they're executing the plan on the Russian side. They're just waiting for Donald Trump to catch up. And the States has been involved, but Ukraine's sort of this little wrinkle, and Trump is being pulled back and forth between the traditional Western allies, that, you know, and Russia. He doesn't want a world war, so he wants to make peace with Russia and align with them to work toward this. He just wants to get out of Europe because he knows that the Russians want to move in there, and he knows they're going to war. He knows it. So he's like, leave America out of it. We'll just stay over here. We're going to take, it's easy pickings. We'll take Canada, Mexico. This is what he's up to. And leave us out of Europe and leave us out. And well, they're still entrenched in the Middle East because it's oil. So the United States is still going to have influence there through Israel. But that's what's going on. And then the other wrinkle in this is that now Europe is saying, we'll buy all these weapons from the United States. So there's still pressure within the American system and the military industrial complex to keep that money flowing, right? So it's not as easy to just, like, as you might think, to just turn it on or turn it off. It's a whole system, and, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars in money flying around. And now Europe saying, okay, well, we'll buy all our weapons from you then, America, which for Europe is dangerous in itself, because we've seen in Ukraine that the United States can turn off, digitally and electronically the defense systems for Ukraine. Just turn off the satellites, or if you've got F-35 jets, they can just flip a switch and your F-35 jet is nothing but a giant paperweight because it's blind. And it depends entirely on satellite technology and electronics to function as a fifth generation fighter. So it's very difficult now to decouple, because since World War II, the United States has been, in order to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons, it's been allowed by everybody, encouraged to be the leader in global defense. It's not, in my view, because the United States wanted to go around just dominating everybody. It's because the West said, you take the lead, we'll be in the back seat and take on supporting roles all over the place. And this way, we don't all have to have nukes. You have the nukes. You have all the power. You see what I'm saying? It was an attempt really by the West to minimize the arms race.
Oh, yeah.
But other people view it differently, and that, they spin it differently. The narrative is then, that's the evil West and warmongers and dominating everybody. But that's why the United States has been always sucked into every conflict as well, because it was and continues to be the big superpower. But now they're pulling back, and look at what's happened already. It creates power vacuums. It destabilizes the world, because now the United States is like, we're not going to be involved. And with the state of the technology, what are any of us supposed to do now? We're totally dependent on the United States. And can they ramp up enough production in Europe to produce enough arms to defend all of Europe? No, they can't. So the only option they have now, we saw it within the last 2 weeks, right? We're going to buy all our weapons from the United States. We'll just buy all these weapons. And Trump, too, with Ukraine. We'll sell them. Ukraine can buy the weapons. We're not going to give you any. You have to buy them all. Okay, we'll buy them. But you're still buying U.S. weapons. Still dependent. It's a very weird situation. But just keep in mind, it's a war on liberalism. And you listen to Trump and what he says when he was just over in Europe, talking about when you listen to the way he talks about the different countries, he's very favorable to countries like Hungary, Viktor Orban.
Yeah.
It's not a liberal democracy. It's a populist kind of government there, communo-fascistic. And that's the rise of the right, but it's not just the right. It's this new political philosophy that is permeating through really all the world. That's why you're seeing, even in Germany, you're seeing the rise of this. You're seeing it here with the populist movement in Canada as well. The freedom movement is part of it. The Freedom Train International people, these are groups that some people are still not familiar with, but you're going to be familiar with them because they're growing by leaps and bounds every month. And a lot of the people in our audience, in our community here, are part of that. But be aware that this will lead to war because it's all predicated on expansionism. It's predicated on the United States taking over countries, Russia taking over countries, China taking over countries like Taiwan. God. So this is guaranteed. We're going to war if we keep going down this path. Are you seeing what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not in favor of it. This is why I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm all for freedom, but I ain't for World War III.
I got to ask you all that question. What is the common point in where we at with wars? People like Trump as a dominant, head into the politics, almost like as goddish as, probably when in World War II we had Hitler back in the days. And I'm not saying that because he is probably communist or something. I'm just saying as a dominant face in politics. So we got all that and the information warfare going on. So what I'm observing here is that we are, like I said, to a turning point in our history of a lifetime. And every turning point in history always contracted to wars or maybe even revolution and stuff like that. So there you have it. I think we are right in there.
Revolution, yeah.
They keep using the word revolution.
I can probably even go even further with what Rick said. That convergence that we are seeing on both sides is actually also a convergence in politics, science, and ideology, like he said. And I will probably even go further by saying that it's part of a new beast, if we can call that, because we're not entering into technocracy, which technocracy would have been that we are integrated basically with technology. And when I say integrated, I mean physically integrated. Right now, phones and computer are just an extension of our mind, actually, where this is where I think we're shifting into a transitional lifetime or say a new political science called infocracy, I would call that. And this is basically infocracy would be the where us as individual are manipulated and under control of the information, because the information is disseminated under form of say emotional manipulation or dissonance of your mind tactics. Basically, you're not even aware of your own reality to a certain extent.
That's pretty
I think at one time when we had choice as to what we wanted to watch on television on that little box or big box, and one couldn't choose what they wanted to watch. And in a way, what I'm seeing is that there's going to be certain shows or programs I will watch, but sometimes as a kid growing up, there were shows that I had no interest in watching, but you had no choice. And in a way, I think too much when we start to specialize, or not, that's not the word, not specialize, but when, it's almost like a group think, and you go into the programs or shows that, agree with your thinking. And it's unfortunate that it seems to be rising, this kind of, think like me and talk like me and walk like me, and we'll get along. And as opposed to on purpose going out of it one's way to listen to the other side, seems to be more limiting all the time, because we have so much choice now, right, as to what we can see on our computers or television. So
are you saying that we have more choice now, or than we didn't have as much? We had what more choice or
information?
less choice?
I think we have. Well, now I think we have more choices as to what we'll listen to, if it's in agreement with how we think. But I'm sure there's many shows, Rick, or programs out there that will say just the opposite. But what I'm saying is I need to make it a point for me personally to listen to points of view that I may not agree with. And I tend not to do that. I tend to do that less and less now. I think it's important to be open. Like on your show, you're open to all sorts of different points of view. And I think it's good for, the rest of us to try to listen or understand, another point of view that I may not agree with or think is the way to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that clearer?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm going to elaborate on what you said, and then tell me what you think. I think that we do have more available to us, but the
quality,
but choice is more of an illusion than we think, because the nature of the medium with the internet is such that we are being fed information and content that aligns with what they want us to see based on how they're interpreting our data. And so we're being
Curated
manipulated
algorithm.
in much more sophisticated ways than ever before with TV and radio, where you would pick the radio station that you wanted to listen to because you like oldies or whatever. Now it's like they're feeding it to you. When you flip the channel or flip to another video online, it's just another video with a new version, a different version of the same kind of content that they want to feed you anyway. So you're flipping and flipping and flipping, and they're still hitting you with the messaging over and over and over again, whatever they want. That's why that's why bot acts, so that he can screw with everybody's minds and control elections and more.
I'm sorry, can I say what just TOEIC teacher just said on the chat, because what she said is brilliant, and it's part of what I'm actually, kind of exploring into. She says, confirmation bias gets in the way of real discourse at times. Sometimes a wake-up call is needed to help someone in the pit they're in. So it's real. I mean, that's where Rick sometimes tells us where we are gazing into the abyss, and the abyss keeps gazing back at us. And if we keep gazing at it, it will consume us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Confirmation bias. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Confirmation bias, to me, it is, to give you an explanation to it, it's when, for example, after, for example, you got the Twin Tower, all right? You see the two planes going in, people start to speak about bombs inside, and then you got all those people believing in that conspiracy theory. So you got that confirmation bias where you got other, say, ideas that goes along with this. For example, this guy, probably Obama was in the known and stuff like that. And then the bubble keeps growing and become even worse. So this is where you get basically a conspiracy theory, and your confirmation bias is when somebody accepts those ideas that you have. And it's just grow your your bias or your dissonance sometimes.
So if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, that's part of it.
So okay, if that's part of it. So what is it when Stoic teacher refers to confirmation bias and it takes something to wake one up, or what is it that would wake one up out of this, not stupor, but out of this almost programming trance that I feel like the way you guys have just described this to me, I almost feel like I've been duped. I've been taken for a ride. Like, is my discernment that off? Is my logic that off? Like, how does one shake their head enough to realize, okay, let's not watch anything and just let it go in one ear or out the other? How does one know what is the truth?
Good, extremely good question, because even I have caught myself being sucked into that confirmation bias where I'm like in denial when I'm being confronted with the truth. But just in the last week, Peace Man was on, right? So what did we show people as part of that broadcast? That the woman who got trampled by the horses, the old lady with the walker, what did we learn on the program? What did he show us proving? Because he was there with a camera in the room that no one had ever seen before until we showed it to you here. It was all fake.
Yeah.
The whole thing's fake. And yet that's a lie that has literally gone around the world. And so just our little podcast live stream here, this little old me and Peace Man sharing this information with you, right? Little tiny squeaky voice way over here in the corner. Who's listening? Well, I know that I saw another podcaster, live streamer guy in the freedom movement. He immediately went on and said, it's not true. He's like, no, he doesn't understand. They don't know what's going on. And then he spins up the whole story on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, dude, we just showed you he was there. He got video evidence. He recorded audio. What more proof do you want? And yet, nope, not gonna believe it. Okay.
So look for information that's actually from a source that was on the ground in there in reality. Would be credible. Yeah, credibility.
But look, I mean, they provided video. They showed the woman. It looked like she kind of got trampled by the horse or something, but it was it's off to the side. It's hard to really see. Well, we just found out from him because he was there. The woman walked 4 blocks in the snow after she apparently was trampled, didn't use a walker.
That's
amazing. Walked those 4 blocks, climbed over a snowbank, went in the front lobby of the hotel, met with some of the other independent media, standing there, like they all saw her. Then she goes up to a hotel room. She's there for a while. Then they call the paramedics. They show up after a while. Like, I mean, come on.
Wow.
How much more proof do you need? Then he's got the video rolling in the room as the paramedics are looking her over, checking her over to make sure she's okay. They don't want to take her to the hospital, but she insists. So they throw her on a stretcher, and then they've got the photo op of her being wheeled out, strapped down to the stretcher. Oh, ambulance picks her up, right? But in the end, too, further proof of what I'm sharing with you again tonight. The woman, she didn't sue. The Special Investigations Unit, they didn't hold any officers accountable for anything. No charges laid against any of the officers for anything that was done. Then this also, I went back and I don't know if I've got the video. Do you remember the officers who were who got a lot of profile on Rebel News and other media for those text messages that seemed to be kind of flippant or insensitive toward the protesters, specifically to that woman?
Vaguely, but
I looked at. Let me see if I can find this. This is very telling as well. Okay, because it puts this into a whole new light.
Well, it's almost like a violation of my trust. I mean, when I think of now the Freedom Convoy, I'm thinking of like how it turned out to be, or what it instigated or what was the ultimate goal or agenda. I just feel like, the trust, my trust, it's almost like after listening to all of this, it's like trust no one.
Yeah.
Trust no one. But I know it's not, I think it's important to be able to trust. I guess it's just, I just have to adapt and just be more aware, because this was like, what you've uncovered, Rick, Dragon, and others from what was truly going on with the Freedom Convoy. I call it the coward convoy, like of traitors, because it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. And when you, Rick, when you had pardon me, I don't remember her name, the original trucker who was,
Bridget.
thinking
Bridget
Bridget,
Walton,
of
yeah.
course, Bridget. If that was her intention from the start, and I'm sure it was, that would have been beautiful. But this turned out to be, just the way it ended. It just fell into their hands, didn't it? The whole thing, the way they wanted it to turn out, exploiting
photo op.
Canadians makes me sick.
Yeah,
Yes, it
innocent
makes me
people,
sick.
they're getting the crap kicked out of them because some people have political motives. But here, listen, look at this. So here's. So again, there's this little old lady. Where do they put her? Right out in front. Yeah, let's take the little old lady with the walker and put her
right at the front.
Right at the front, right where the horses are coming. Gee, why would they do that? Well, I think maybe now we know.
Yep, that's for sure.
You got a fractured collarbone.
And then look at that. She says fractured collarbone, maybe not. And then, like, the horses go by, right?
Mm-hmm.
They said that other guy was killed. He wasn't killed. So there were two of them there. I know that guy wasn't killed. And I've seen video within the last year of him at another protest. It appears to be that guy.
What a disgrace. What a disgrace. That is just,
bruising
that's
on
disgraceful.
I got sore ribs. Doesn't look like I'll be driving anytime soon. I'm still alive. I'm still here. Thank you to everyone out there. I'm okay. Bumped and bruised.
And she may have been bumped and bruised, but she took a fall.
I'm sore, but I live to stand another day.
Sorry, but and this
since the recent event.
And let's also remember that what I've come to realize, especially over the last 6 months, is that Rebel News reporters, they always run into the protests.
Oh yeah.
And how often do they get arrested? Like often, in like all the years I've worked as a journalist, I've been to a lot of protests. And as I've said on the program before, how many times have I ever been arrested?
Exactly.
0. How many times have I been assaulted by a protester? 0. Never.
Well, as a professional, I guess, when you act professionally, that does, lessen your chance of being arrested or trampled or beat up.
Well, yeah,
Jeez.
because I always was taught that you don't go there to be part of the story. You go there to cover the story.
The story.
Right? I'm not there to be the news. I'm there to cover the news.
Exactly.
And then here's this Constable Scott Peever thought the trampling was awesome. Okay. So when I saw that stuff, that enraged me. But now that we have this other information, you have to think about it this way.
God bless you, peace, man.
The cops have other information, right? So if you're a cop and I'm not saying this guy knows or doesn't know necessarily, but let's just put it in this context. The woman, not really seriously injured, looks like she took a fall. They put her out in front for the photo op. So it's all basically fake. So this cop and other cops maybe know a little more than we do because they've got intelligence and they know whether this woman was seriously hurt or not because they're being told what's going on behind the scenes. They all know. So then they're on social media like, that was awesome. Well, maybe it's because they know that the woman's okay. And it was like a hockey game where, a player takes a flying leap to draw a penalty. So they get a tripping 2 minutes in the box for the opposing player, but he didn't really get tripped, right?
Well, you made a really good point, and you stop and think about it. I mean, why would you put a more vulnerable a very vulnerable person at the front. Like that in itself is disgraceful, and that oh shoot, I was just going to say it and I just missed it, but yeah, I think I was going to say God bless Peace Man. I'm so glad you featured him on your show. Very good, very good show, very enlightening.
Yeah, all I had to do was take a week to drill down into all the information that he threw at me, because he has tons of stuff, but you have to focus it. He has so much that he wants to share with people, and a lot of people are just dismissing him like he's crazy or something. But no, he's got real legit info. You just have to take the time and collect it, make sense of it, focus it, and it's like, holy crap. And when he shared that on the show,
truth can be irritating. Truth can really bug some people, right, Rick? I mean, the truth is just, it's just obnoxious to some.
Yeah. But see, the other disgusting thing is, like, I don't like it when the cops are involved in overreach of government. But at the same time, I also know that the cops I've dealt with, generally good people. And they're out there just trying to keep people safe. They're just trying to do their job. And also when something like this happens, if somebody takes a fall, if they fake something, that guy on the screen right there, his career was on the line.
Yeah.
His job, his way of supporting his family. He's out there putting it on the line for us every day, literally risking his life sometimes. And then his whole career could be destroyed because maybe the whole thing was a ruse. That's not right either. So it doesn't sit right with me. I'm not supportive of what the government did during the pandemic. I'm not.
Oh, of course not. Right? I'm not either.
But I'm also not in favor of lies and deception on the other side.
Yeah. That's it. Bang. That's it.
Yeah. Because those people lying to us and deceiving us, they're not about freedom. They're not about peace.
No.
No.
About power and wealth and all that other good stuff.
Yeah. That's all it is. It's just corruption on another side, because there's not just two sides to a story. There are many, and a lot of different players and different motives, as we've seen with the convoy and the freedom movement in general. You've got different people in there for different reasons. Some of them genuine and true and pure, and others are there with dark purposes.
So this is what it's like in a democracy,
I guess, or maybe more accurately, I think, Sharon, a democracy under attack.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. And
I think you've just described what's been going on, what we're going through right now. Exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah. So it's sad. And that's why I'm sitting here right now. I had a long conversation with Jehovah's Witnesses. They come to my house once a week because I talk. And they're very friendly. And I had a conversation about this today, right? With those guys for half an hour. Our country is under threat. Our freedom, our real freedom from some people who are pretending to be freedom fighters. They're not.
Exactly.
Beware.
Okay, I'll beware.
Well, at least we've got a couple of people cluing in, so I'm glad of that.
I appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to throw it over to both of you for final thoughts tonight so we can wrap up and then draw this whole extravaganza to a close.
Okay, Mr. Rick Walker. I'm just going to say thank you for having me on the show. I think I've said my piece, and I'm glad you answered some of my questions, and Dragon as well. And okay, over to you, Dragon.
Well, I'm glad that I can answer to you. And for those who can stay tuned for a little moment, I'm going to tell you that I come close to an end to my story. So I'm going to send that to Rick so he can look it up and see if it's all perfect, because I'm going to send that to Substack soon.
Is this your first Substack article that you're publishing, Dragon?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I'm excited. And I'm honored to think that you would think enough of me to send it over here for my opinion before you share it with the public. So I'm privileged.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, you've been my mentor for a long moment. So I think it's really a good turning point and a good full circle, so you can see where all that comes.
Well, I've appreciated your support, and again tonight, and your input, and yours too, Sharon, and all yours, all the input from all the Mavericks. So especially the haters.
Yeah,
Over at Channel 2. Thank you for hating me so much. It's colorful.
Yeah, I wish they would call in, Rick. Why don't some of these haters call in?
I'm not in the mood.
we could have a nuanced conversation.
But thank you everybody for tuning in and
thank
supporting and contributing. And we'll be back here tomorrow night, and I'll leave you with Putin Nukem, I think is the tune that I've got queued up for you tonight. So I'll leave you with Putin Nukem, Maverick and the News Brothers, and we'll see everybody back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern on the
flip side. On the flip side.
Putin's got a plan, sitting in the Kremlin, dreaming of the days when the Soviets were winning. Ukraine's on its way out, NATO in its sight, but its soldiers keep retreating from the fight. Putin Nukem, you got a thing you can't top. Putin Nukem, you got a war hanging up. The world's on edge, he's losing his game, but he's ready to light up the flame. Putin Nukem. You gotta start, you gotta fight. Putting through the 6 billion of you. Investigate, you cannot view. Putin Nukem. His plans unravel, he goes bruised. The West won't budge and his allies refuse. But instead of retreat, he doubles down. The Russian clouds is his final crown. Putin Nukem, you got a reason's gone. Putin Nukem, you got he sings his swan song. The whole world's watching, hold his breath while he dances with the devil of death. Putin Nukem, you got. 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 What you got? What you got? What you got?
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.